Okay, so it seems like recently there's been a bit of surprising news to do with 2XKO, which if you guys don't know, 2XKO is a game by Riot Games, who essentially planned on making a fighting game, but with League of Legends characters, League of Legends characters. And again, they've been like testing it, the game has been out and people have been kind of trying it out. But obviously they actually announced here, literally in the last hour or so, with a heavy heart, the Played 2XKO team shares an update about the future. Active development will end in December. So they are not going to be developing the game any further. They are going to be essentially just killing it. Like this is like it. It's the end of 2XKO. And they say the final content patch goes live in October. Servers stay online. In-game purchases made before August 20th will be refunded. So they're kind of pulling the plug on this, which is absolutely crazy. As there has been a couple more details and stuff dropped as well that people have been pointing out. For example, here it says 2XKO active development will end in 2026. The servers will remain on beyond 2026, and 2XKO will be playable on all platforms. Then we're unlocking all champs, we're also bundling most cosmetic items and refunding all money spent in 2XKO on or before August 20th. So yeah, they're essentially saying here, hey yo, we have an update to share on the future of 2XKO. 2XKO's active development will conclude at the end of 2026. Over the last few months, we've been monitoring 2XKO's trajectory closely, and what we've seen is painting a clear, consistent picture. While a lot of you jumped in to try the game, and there's been an incredible community that plays every day, we haven't seen enough players stick with the game to get to a path towards sustainability. So essentially they're saying they didn't get enough players on the kind of testing that they've done so far, and that essentially it's just Riot Games going like, this isn't worth our time or money anymore, and this isn't going to make us money. That's what it kind of feels like. But again, you know, a lot of people are very, very confused. The servers will remain on beyond 2026, and 2XKO will be playable on all platforms. Through the rest of 2026, we will be introducing content, feature improvements, and 2 new champions, Lux and Samira, with the intent to deliver our final bug fix patch in December of this year. After that, servers will remain on to support online play, offline players unaffected, and will give advance notice if any of that changes. We're unlocking the champs and we're bundling most cosmetic items and refunding all money spent on 2XKO on or before August 20th. Any content owned is yours to keep. Avatar and player profiles will be unlockable for credits. This will happen in patch 1.3.1 in September. So yeah, it seems like they're going to be refunding you for all of the kind of purchases you made, whether it's cosmetics and things like that. And obviously they go on saying, our goal now is to do right by the players who have invested in us so far and want to continue playing 2XKO, as well as the rioters who have poured everything into delivering on this dream. Then what was our goal with 2XKO? Our dream was to build a game that the fighting game community would love to play with their friends. We wanted to be respectful of the incredible games that came before ours and bring Riot's take on a live service to a new set of hungry players. Our approach was to tackle some of the issues that we knew the FGC struggled with by building more reliable netcode, making the ranked grind less lonely, committing to more frequent game updates and more. While the genre progressed significantly in the last 10 years or so, we believe 2X delivered on many of these promises. On the business side, we hoped that by making the game free, we could make the genre more accessible and discovered to new players, and that they could fall in love with fighting games in the same way that we did. Ideally, this would have happened over time, starting by earning the trust of a lot of core fighting game players and growing into a larger player base where more features and content came online. We also went into this project knowing that from the start, that free-to-play comes with a minimum player requirement to support these ambitions. Early on, we saw pockets of the FGC fully embrace 2XKO, and we got proof that this approach was working at a small scale. Players pushed the game to its limits in high-level play and brought their non-fighting gameplay friends to play with them. Duos became a great way to mash buttons together. Tournament organizers added the game to their weekly lineups, and players told us they wanted more champs, events, features, etc. While this is exactly what we wanted to see, it just wasn't happening enough. Even within the genre, diehard tag fighter players love 2XKO, but most other fighting game players struggled to find reasons to stick with the game. So essentially people were just going back to their old game that they used to play, which, you know, I think is fair enough. Now, obviously they go on to say, Why end active development? They say we evaluated the game's overall performance, not just revenue, but retention, new players, and engagement. And through 2026, we saw a positive player reaction through the releases of Akali, Senna, Thresh, the Climb PvE, and some amazing competitive events throughout the year. Even in these highlight moments, however, we saw no meaningful sustained change in the trajectory of 2xKO. So they're saying they've had a lot of really big moments, but like none of that really led to the game like taking off in a sense, right? Even though I feel like it was pretty big, right? Saying in recent months, the team has continued to take bold swings while fully aware of 2xKO's challenges, but to attempt another year hoping for a way forward would have been an irresponsible choice for players and the dev team. To be super clear, we would have continued active development if we saw any viable future, but 2xKO costs us more substantially more to operate than it brings in, and engagement has stayed relatively flat despite our larger updates. So when we looked at all available options, including reducing team size, adjusting our patch schedules, changing our business model, we concluded that finishing the rest of our work in progress content and sunsetting active development was the best route forwards for players and rioters. So yeah, they're essentially saying we just, we're giving up. That's it. Like we're putting the plug on this. It was costing too much, and that essentially they didn't want to kind of take the risk like for next year, right? Which again, I feel like maybe they should have. I don't know the exact amount of money that would have been needed to like keep this going, and maybe Riot Games would have lost a lot of money if it didn't perform well in the second year. But I feel like maybe you got to give it like a little bit more of a chance to see like, okay, what kind of changes can they make within that year. It seems a bit weird to just drop it like after a year, right? It's not even been a year, right? Well, it's almost been a year. But again, it's just like it's already down, right? They barely even gave it a chance to like, sure, right? They didn't see some success with these things, but maybe they add a new character and things like that and they blows up. I know plenty of games, fighting games that have blown up due to new characters being added and people just want to play for that character, right? So I wonder if, maybe if they gave it another year, maybe it could have been successful. Maybe it could have been something that they could have worked on, right? I don't know. We'll never know now, right? Saying, as we mentioned above, we want to do right by our players who continue playing 2xKO and deeply respect the love that people put into the game and into the scene up to now. 2xKO remains online and playable, and we aren't going anywhere yet. We've still got plenty more content to show you through the end of this year, and we're truly grateful to everyone who's been a part of it. So yeah, obviously then they just go on to like the preview of what they're going to be doing, saying they're disabling KO point purchases, so you can't like pay for stuff anymore, it seems like. Which is going to be very interesting, and it just sucks, right? Because it does look like a cool game. I played 2xKO a little bit myself. I thought it was fun, but it seems like maybe people aren't picking it up, and some people have been talking about it, saying if my mum gave up on me when I was 1 year old, I would have never learned to read or walk or talk. Just something you can think about. And yeah, Connor's kind of right there in the sense that they barely given it any time to like grow and to capture an audience, because as I said, sometimes like a character or a new update can bring in a huge audience which will save the game, right? But it seems like they pulled the plug early. Saying this has to be an April Fool's joke in August, huh? The game and the FGC has a lot of potential with this, but you guys are just dropping it in less than a year. Saying had a league fighting game in the bag and fumbled it on purpose. Saying shit name, shit safe champ picks. Changed the gameplay to overcomplicated for no reason. No advertising. Half the team gone within 2 months. The apology for bad English. Where were you when 2xKO die? Saying Riot really needs to stop cancelling everything that isn't as big as League of Legends. You're never going to reach that level of success again. It's unrealistic to shit can everything and everyone that doesn't reach that bar. Fools. Should have just made a plat fighter, to be honest. So a lot of people just saying, yeah, you've essentially given up way too early, right? And yes, of course, things might not be as successful as League of Legends or maybe Valorant and things like that, right? Which have done very, very well for them. But sometimes you got to give things a chance, right? Just to like take off, because they've barely given it a chance here. But yeah. Saying, wow, who could have guessed that locking 70% of a fighting game roster behind paywalls would end badly, which again, apparently that was a big issue with it. So, I'm thinking like there could be ways around this. I feel like, there's got to be some, way to fix this, but apparently not. They're just ending it, right? And it's crazy. It's crazy to see. Lots of people saying though active development is ending, the 2xKO team is still here through to the end of 2026. I say I quit my job to play this game. Hopefully Riot gives me a refund. That's crazy. Some content creators have jumped ship to doing 2xKO content. It must suck for them. Obviously, Hungrybox as well, obviously a big fighting game community, you know, guy, if not the biggest. They're potentially a hot take incoming, but I don't care. I sincerely believe that if Riot had gone forward with the original plan of their platform fighter pool party and gone a melee, melee-esque route, that game would have been over everyone's timelines even today. FGC saturation is a real thing, and there's legit maybe only 4 relevant platform fighters played by a large number of people, dominated of course by Smash. Famously, Riot saw what was happening with to multiverses and they got spooked. I want to remind everyone that multiverses at one point had 150,000 concurrent players on Steam, which is absolutely mind-boggling to think about for a platform fighter. But the failure of MVS was due to strange dev decisions, such as their decision to keep the game extremely floaty and slow after a 2-year hiatus. I don't think this is a mistake Riot would have made, especially seeing the good polish that 2xKO has. I truly hope that I hope that they give Pool Party one last good attempt, because it really could have been the one. So essentially saying, like, maybe it could have been a platform fighter, because of course I think they were originally planning on doing a platform kind of thing, a bit like Multiverses or Smash or whatever. But it seems like they got spooked by Multiverses obviously dying, because nobody, I don't think I've ever seen anybody play it in the last couple of years. And so they got spooked, and then they switched it to obviously what 2xKO is now. Which, yeah, I mean, is interesting, right? And obviously Hungrybox feels like maybe it would have been better if they just stuck with the platform one. So I don't know. But yeah, that's essentially all there is for this situation. Very, very interesting one. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about this, because again, I am very, very interested in what you guys have to say, because it is a pretty crazy, you know, thing that has just happened. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. So yeah.